So with buybacks getting removed from the Battle Royale playlist, a lot of people will be going back to playing Rebirth Island, and in this video we're going to be going over what are the 10 best weapons to be using inside Rebirth, because the class setups do change when you play this game mode, because a lot of your gunfights will be at those closer ranges. If you enjoy weapon stat breakdowns and weapon comparisons, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we're trying to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers, and click that link in the description down below and subscribe to our second channel. We do post extra gameplay content over there as well, and there is already tons of gameplay on that channel, so make sure you go ahead and watch those as well. So let's get into the top 10 best weapons for Rebirth, and starting off at number 10 we have the AMP. The AMP is a great SMG replacement. I've said this time and time again, and I love using this weapon, especially if you run Ghost, Tempered, High Alert, because there's a lot of dead silence lying around in Rebirth for some reason. But the AMP, like I said, is a capable SMG replacement. It actually kills faster than some SMGs at close range as well, like the Milano for example, or the PPSH, so you will actually get a pretty decent TTK out of this gun as well. And now that they've increased the mag size, it's pretty much a no-brainer. Now the agency suppressor is used to control the recoil. The task force barrel we need for the strafing speeds, not so much for the effective damage range and bullet velocity, although they are good bonuses to have. Then the Tiger T spotlight's faster movement. This is the attachment that you probably could swap out for something else like an optic or anything else, a 5mm laser if you really wanted that. Then the 30 round Stanag mags and the Serpent Rat for the faster ADS time. Like I said, this is a solid SMG replacement. At number 9 we have the Street Sweeper shotgun. Now we were using this gun on our live stream and I was trying my best to get a gameplay with it inside Rebirth, but the class setup we were using right here is definitely the best build for this gun. And if you want to stay away from SMGs for example, because a lot of the TTKs on SMGs are not great unless you're using certain SMGs, which we will probably cover in this video, then definitely try out the shotguns. They actually do have a really quick TTK now, and the Street Sweeper is definitely one of the ones that are more viable. So you do want to use the agency choke for the effective damage range bonus mainly, the reinforced heavy barrels for the same reason, but you also get a fire rate bonus which actually reduces your TTK as well. Then you do want to use the SOF target designator. I tried out the 5mm laser, but I felt like in the ranges I was using this gun I was landing all my shots anyway, so I didn't really need to have basically the best hip fire accuracy. But you can extend out the damage range with the SOF target designator. Now it's not by much, I will be honest, but it's definitely a little bit, so if you do need that extra damage range, go for that. No stock is definitely the best attachment. It just doesn't hurt your ADS as much as the rest, and you can sprint to fire a little bit quicker. And the 15 round mag is more than enough to use when it comes to shotguns. You don't really need the biggest mag here because it does take time to reload it one shell at a time, so you only will be able to sometimes, if you're mid gunfight, maybe reload in like 2 or 3 shells and then try and take on the next opponent. You don't want to be sitting there reloading 18 shells. That is ridiculous. So 15 is more than enough, especially down maybe 2 players, and that's all you can really ask for when it comes to shotguns in this game. Down 2 enemy players and maybe finish them with a throwing knife or something like that. At number 8 we have the other viable shotgun, which is the Gallo 12. I'd probably say this is a little bit better because it does have the faster TTK, so if you can spam the trigger quick enough, this is going to be better. The Street Sweeper does have a benefit of anyone using auto tac sprint. The Street Sweeper will be a little bit easier to use for your kind of playstyle, but if you're just a standard player, the Gallo shotgun is probably the better option here. Again, the same kind of class setup with the SOF target designator, no stock, and again the 9 round tube, because you don't really need that 12 round tube, and it cons your ADS as well. So like I said, both of these shotguns are great, but the Street Sweeper is probably more for people who like auto tac sprint, and people who don't like auto tac sprint, the Gallo is probably the better option. Moving on to number 7 now, we have the only viable sniper rifle that is for aggressive playing, and that is the Swiss. Now the Kar 98 is a good sniper, and personally I prefer the kind of ADS that you get with the Kar 98, and if you do want a faster ADS, then maybe you do want to go for the Kar 98 build, and we all know what that build is, so I don't want to go over that at all. But I do think the Swiss is a better sniper rifle. Now it does do more upper chest shot damage, so if you do land a chest shot for example, or even any extremity shots, you will do more damage with the Swiss. And this build right here gives you better movement than the Kar 98 as well, so overall you get faster reloads, you get a little bit better everything, just with the slight con of a slower ADS compared to the Kar 98. So this is the build I would recommend for Rebirth, and that is using the Raider stock because it gives you the faster strafing speed, so you can actually strafe around a corner, maybe get a snipe off, or just have the faster movement overall. The Serpent Wrap is so you can get the faster ADS time. The Airborne Elastic does give you flinch resistance, but it doesn't have the faster ADS time. It's not far off, so if you do want the Airborne Elastic, you can go for that, but I prefer to have the faster ADS. And you don't really want to spend too much time scope down in Rebirth because that's how you die, of course. 5mm laser gives you the faster ADS time. Combat Recon's the best barrel, GRU Suppressor's the best suppressor, and this is the best aggressive sniper for Rebirth. Moving on into number 6 now, we have some SMGs, and of course SMGs are extremely valuable in Rebirth because most of your gunfights will be at those closer ranges. And we have the MAC-10. The MAC-10 is a great SMG for both Rebirth and Verdansk. There's no question about it, and this is the best build in my opinion. Agency Suppressor, Task Force Barrel, 53 round drum, Serpent Grip, and Raider stock. A lot of people do use the Tiger Team Spotlight, but the movement on the MAC-10 is already insane as it is, and I'd rather compensate for the slow ADS of the mag. So that is why I do use the Serpent Grip instead of the Tiger Team Spotlight. Plus you already move really quick with this MAC-10 anyway. This is an awesome option when it comes to close range gunfights inside Rebirth. At number 5, we have the most used SMG in the game, which is the Bullfrog, and it's probably for good reasons. It's got clean iron sights, it's no open bolt delay, so you can start firing straight away. It's got pretty decent hipfire accuracy without any hipfire accuracy builds, and you can use this as a decent sniper support as well. So the best build in my opinion is the GRU Suppressor, Task Force Barrel, Skeletal Stock, Serpent Wrap, and the Bruiser Grip. Now you can swap out the Bruiser Grip for a bigger mag like the 65 round, but that is only for using this as sniper support. If you're mainly using this as an SMG, I would take the faster movement and the hipfire accuracy of the Bruiser Grip. And then the Skeletal Stock gives you that strafing speed as well as sprint to fire. And then you also get the strafing speed bonus from the Task Force Barrel as well. And I do like having that faster ADS from the Serpent Wrap. If you don't really need this, then you can swap this out for an Optic or the Tiger Team Spotlight, for example, but that's absolutely up to yourself. At number 4, we have the only weapon of its kind on this list, and that's a long-range assault rifle. Now, the reason why I've put the KRIG here is for people who do want to get that kind of long-range assault rifle feel, but inside Rebirth. Now, keep in mind, not a lot of your gunfights will be at this range, because Rebirth is a very aggressive game mode. But for those players who like to kind of sit back and shoot enemies from a distance, this is probably the best build, and the reason for it is because you can pretty much do away with every single recoil attachment, and you still have low recoil on this gun because it pretty much doesn't have any. And that is the reason why I would recommend it, because you can pretty much focus all your attachments on the movement speed of the weapon, allowing you to use it at close range as well. So for the suppressor, you want to use the standard suppressor for the bullet velocity, as well as the sprint to fire and aim down sight time bonuses. Then you do want to choose the Ranger barrel and not the mil-spec. The mil-spec harms your ADS time, and it harms a lot of the other kind of movement stats that you get. So you'd rather go for the Ranger barrel, whereas you do get the bullet velocity, you do get the recoil control, but it doesn't harm you nearly as much as the mil-spec. Then for the Optic, that is personal preference. Whatever Optic you prefer, then you can use that one. Every Optic will work fine on this gun because it pretty much has no recoil, like I said. The Raider stock, because you do want that strafing speed, regardless of what range you're using this gun at, strafing left and right is going to allow you to dodge bullets. And then the 45 round mags, because I feel like 45 rounds is more than enough with the KRIG. I think you can actually down 2 players of 45 rounds and do pretty well. So this is the best long range assault rifle build for Rebirth on the KRIG. At number 3, we have the Cold War AK-47, and I think this is the perfect build. Now, I've tried so many different variations of the Cold War AK for Rebirth, and I think this is the perfect build, and this is what I've settled on for sure, 100%. And what we're using here is the regular suppressor for the sound suppression, bullet velocity, and the faster aim down sight speed, as well as sprint to fire. We can't use the GRU suppressor because it's going to call on your aim down sights, and you can't have that in a close range gunfight. You do need the Microflex LED. I've tried using this with the iron sights and it just does not work at all. It's not a gun that has even usable iron sights. You do need the Microflex LED on here. You do need the KGB skeletal stock. This is going to give you the faster strafing speeds and a faster sprint to fire time. The Serpent Grip is going to give you that faster ADS time as well. If you feel like the ADS is already good enough, this is probably the attachment I would recommend removing. and maybe putting on a 45 round mag or a Tiger Team Spotlight. But personally, I think the Serpent Grip is needed on this gun. And then lastly, we've got the Bruiser Grip, and that's to give you movement bonuses as well as better hipfire accuracy so you can compete with the SMGs in the game. And this is the best Cold War AK-47 build for close range in my opinion. So the last two weapons are actually the last two guns that I use inside my Rebirth loadout. So these two guns actually go together inside Rebirth. Now, the first we have the XM4. This is my long range SMG, if you want to call it. And we're using the standard suppressor, Tiger Team Spotlight, Raider Pad, which is an absolute must, Serpent Grip, and 45 round mags. 45 round mags, like I said, is more than enough to take on at least 2 enemies with this weapon. And the Raider Pad is pretty much for the strafing speeds, it's pretty much a given. The Serpent Grip, like I said, I like to have that faster ADS time. It's the same reason why I put it on the Cold War AK as well. But in this case, I do feel like the Tiger Team Spotlight is actually better than the Bruiser Grip on the XM4. I don't know why, it just feels better to me. If you do want to swap that out, you absolutely can swap out for something else. And then the standard suppressor gives you the faster sprint to fire and the faster ADS. And this is one of the best close range weapons. Even if you don't want to pair it with an SMG, pair it with a sniper rifle, pair it with anything else, it is a great close range gun for Rebirth. And at number 1, we have the best close range weapon in the entire game in my opinion, and that is the OTS-9. This is the fastest TTK at close range. It does drop off in damage, but that's why we use the GRU suppressor, because it extends out your damage range, it gives you the bullet velocity and the recoil control. The Task Force barrel also extends out your damage range as well, which is quite handy, but also gives you that strafing speed bonus, so it's pretty much a must. The KGB skeletal stock people don't really use on this gun because they rather have the better hipfire accuracy. People use the wire stock. I've seen people use no stock. I've seen people not have any stock attachment at all. I maybe put on a Tiger Team Spotlight. But personally, I think the KGB skeletal stock is a must. The Serpent Wrap is for the same reasons as before. I think I need the ADS time more than I need that movement speed on SMGs for Cold War. And then the VDV 40 round fast mags is because the regular 40 round mags have a weird reload animation. You feel like you've reloaded the gun, then you end up not reloading your gun, you lose a gunfight. So having the fast mags is really important. And if you want to use something like the Tech 9, I would recommend the fast mags on that as well. But the OTS-9 is definitely the best close range weapon in the entire game, and that's why it has to be at number 1 for the best Rebirth weapon. So there we have it. Those are the top 10 best weapons to use for Rebirth. If you enjoyed this video and you learned something new, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we'll try to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers, and we're very close to achieving that goal. And make sure you subscribe to our second channel. We do post gameplay of all these different weapons over there as well. And thank you very much for watching.